Hey everybody, welcome back to Tech Odyssey. So I'm here today with a comparison between the brand new Samsung Galaxy S21 FE and the fan favorite, the Pixel 6. So and you're probably noticing my lights back there are off. I'm having issues with them, so no lights tonight. But both of these phones are very impressive when it comes to the value flagship option. And I think that's a phrase I might have coined last year, but it seems popular this year because now we have these flagship level phones that don't cost you $1,000. One thing to look at here is price. The Pixel 6 is $599 and the S21 FE is $699. So there's a $100 price difference, but these phones are quite a bit different. One by Samsung, one by Google. They run different operating systems, both based on Android 12. You've got One UI 4 over here, which is actually nice and kind of my preferred skin over Android 12. And then the Pixel 6 is running the very stock, bare bones version of the operating system, which they're known for, and a lot of people love. So we're going to go in, talk about the performance, the phones themselves, characteristics, take a look at some camera samples, and kind of have a discussion on which one might be better or might be better for you. The first one I want to take a look at is the Pixel 6. Now, the Pixel 6, I'm a big fan of this phone, and I'm glad that Google finally pushed out the operating system update, which was supposed to fix a whole lot of issues. Made a lot of videos on it. It seems that by and large, a lot of stuff they finally got it right. This phone very much felt kind of like a beta product from when it first came out, and then a lot of apparent issues over time as it was used. And then, of course, the December update that was supposed to fix things caused some more problems. But I don't want to dwell on that too much. It's much, much better now and fixed a lot of the connection problems people were having. Under the hood, you've got the brand new Google Tensor chip. Now, from what we know, it's based on a Samsung Exynos chip, modified, more cores for AI and machine learning. That's the big deal with Google. They really rely heavily on this whole computer learning, machine learning, AI-assisted functions. This one has 2 cameras on the back instead of 3, like the S21 FE. You're rocking essentially 2 12-megapixel cameras. You get a 12-megapixel ultra-wide, and you got a 50-megapixel primary sensor, but it's been down to about 12 megapixels. So it compresses a lot of data in there. And then, of course, you get the computational photography. Going to tell you right up front before we get into the comparison stuff, I do think the primary camera on the Pixel is better than the S21 FE, captures more light, color, detail, better HDR, all that good stuff. But then you go over to the opposite side, you look at the telephoto and the wide angle, and I think those are kind of winners on the Samsung. 4600 milliamp battery, you've got 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gigabytes of storage, fixed storage. There's no SD card in here. There's also not in the S21 FE. Wireless charging, reverse wireless charging, IP68, premium quality. This one, when you pick it up, that's going to be one of the first things you notice is the build quality. Now, it does kind of have this soft, kind of plasticky finish on the edges, but it's actually metal. I think they call it soft touch finish. And then you got the Gorilla Glass on the front and on the back. Whereas the S21 FE has the Glastic on the back, which is like an infused glass and plastic. It doesn't even look like it. Like it, you would never guess, but it's supposed to be more durable and it is lighter. The S21 FE does feel lighter and it is thinner. Like when you look at the Pixel 6, it's got a nice solid heft to it. It's very well balanced. It feels premium through and through. And one thing I do have to say here, it does have better haptic feedback. So if you like the vibration motor, the haptic feedback, especially when you're typing and doing stuff, it is a gem to type on. I like that a lot. Other differences. So you've got this 6.4-inch screen on the front. Now on here, let me adjust the brightness here. On the screen here, you've got a 6.4-inch AMOLED, 1080p display, 90 hertz refresh rate. When you compare that with the S21 FE over here, the S21 FE actually has a better quality screen on it. It looks better, more vibrant. The colors are better HDR, but it still looks nice. On the Pixel, this is the brightest and probably best out of the Pixel phones that we've gotten yet, so I do like that. Stereo speakers, it's got legitimate stereo speakers this time, unlike the Pixel 5 that had that receiver handset speaker up under the glass, which nobody was really crazy about, but did kind of put out stereo sound. The sound quality on here is top-notch, and you get a pretty good battery life. I've used this one extensively. I get about 6-7 hours of screen on time regularly. I've squeezed out as much as 7. More than likely, you'll probably get about 6. Both of these phones should last you all day, no problem. Neither one have expandable storage, which is unfortunate. The S20 FE beforehand, if I remember correctly, did have SD card slot. It does not anymore. And of course, neither of them come with a charger in the box. Kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So that's kind of the Pixel 6 in a nutshell. And also it has a less traditional look to it. Like a lot of people look at this phone and they go, I don't really care for the way this looks on the back. I actually like it. I think it stands out. I think it's unique. And it's something that helps set the Pixel apart. When you walk in and you see a bunch of phones that look like this, and then you see something that looks like this, it does make a bit of a statement. Downsides, the biggest frustration with the Pixel 6 has been the fingerprint sensor. Sometimes it works really well, sometimes it doesn't work really well. Both of them are optical fingerprint sensors. Neither one of them are the ultrasonic fingerprint sensor like you get in the Big Brother, S21, S21 Ultra, all that good stuff. One other nice thing, this one right here, you can't use the fingerprint sensor while the screen is off. This is kind of a unique feature, especially with the optical fingerprint sensor. Normally, on these phones that have them, you can't open them with the screen off. But this one right here, you can find it with your finger and actually unlock it while the screen is off. So it's a nice feature. Also, you can get the always on display on both of them, but it's really cool having it down here where you can just reach over and tap it. It does feel a little low though. Like when you look at the fingerprint sensor placement on this one, yeah, it's a little bit higher up there. It feels more natural. I do like that, but the one down here it's very low down on the screen. So sometimes you kind of got to feel around and fish for it. But if it's the primary phone you use all the time and you're not switching phones all the time like I am, well, then it's not really all that problematic. But the fingerprint sensor is faster, more accurate, more reliable on the S21 FE. So I want to go ahead and say that. And both phones are capable of 5G and they work pretty well. I don't want to talk too much about the differences in the processor, only that the S21 FE is rocking the Snapdragon 888, which was the flagship for 2021. It does seem a little bit better, and of course across the board it is more optimized. A lot of software and applications aren't as well optimized for the Pixel 6 using the Tensor chip, but the Tensor chip, as time goes by, should get more optimized, and then over time, really, you're not going to find much difference here. It's like grabbing two 4-second cars and then quibbling over, well, one has a better turbo, one has a supercharger, one has more horsepower at the wheels, one has more at the flywheel, whatever. They both run really well. They're both flagship level performance. You're not going to miss out. You can play your games. You can do top-notch stuff. You can run them to the max. I will say though that the 888 and the S21 FE does seem a little bit more optimized when it comes to battery and heat. When you're playing games and whenever you're doing like GPS and stuff like that, the Pixel 6 does feel like it gets a little warmer, but overall, they're both solid phones. So that's kind of the gist of it on the Pixel 6. I do want to talk about the S21 FE now. So when you look at the S21 FE, it's very thin. It's thinner than the Pixel 6, and I kind of like that. I do like the Pixel 6, but you can see here it is a little bit chunkier, just by a little bit of a margin, and both of them have the USB-C on the bottom. That's fine. But when you look at this one, when I first picked this phone up, I'm like, this feels way better than the S21. The S21 felt kind of plasticky. It felt kind of hollow on the inside, and also the camera bump was bigger. This one, they managed to shave down the camera bump. It makes for a nicer, thinner profile. It doesn't wobble as much whenever you have the phone set on a flat surface and you're typing on it. The Pixel 6 doesn't have that problem at all because it has the uniform camera bump across the back. So when you place that down on a flat surface and you type on it while it's on the table or whatever, then you're covered there. It doesn't really wobble around. So other things I want to talk about. Oh, yeah, so the cameras. The Pixel 6, again, 50 and a 12 on the back, bends down to another 12. On the front, you got an 8 megapixel camera. A lot of people have had complaints about it, saying it's not as high quality, it's not as great, it's basically the older selfie camera, and Google has reused it again. It doesn't have the newer, better selfie camera like the Pixel 6 Pro. Some people have complained the quality is bad on Duo and on WhatsApp. I don't use WhatsApp, but I did fire it up and test it out, and it seems like it's okay to me. Maybe that's a software issue, maybe it's somebody else's phone, but the cameras, other than the primary one, I give a nod to the S21 FE. So over here, you have two 12s and an 8. So we have a 12 megapixel primary camera, a 8 megapixel telephoto, which is capable of 30 times zoom, by the way, and you'll see that here in a minute. You can reach out and touch stuff a lot better. And then a 12 megapixel ultra wide. Then on the front, you have a 32 megapixel front facing selfie camera, Snapdragon 888. It starts off with 6 gigs of RAM and 128 gigabytes of storage. You can get more RAM, you can get more storage, you got to pay more money. This is the base model. Performance-wise, though, it seems unaffected. Like 6 gigabytes of RAM, I'm not crazy about. We're in 2022 now, which is when this phone launched. It really, I felt like, should have had 8 gigs minimum, but I guess they figure it would encroach too much on the S21 itself. And then, of course, S22 sales right around the corner. And that's been a point of contention with me with this phone. The Pixel 6, I think, stands alone very well, especially at $599. I can recommend that all day long. The S21 FE, yes, Samsung's going to undercut it. They're going to give you trade-in deals. They're going to be aggressive with sales. They're going to have more leverage and ability to give you carrier deals and stuff like that. But both of them, I think, are competitively priced. The only problem is when you look at the S21 FE and you go, okay, is this really $100 difference better? I like the Pixel 6, but I do like the FE as well. And then looking at the S22 right around the corner, and then the S21 itself, which is an overall better phone, $799. So if you go $100 more expensive, and of course, as the S22 comes out, you know there's going to be price drops and all that good stuff. You can get an S21 used for like $400 on Swappa, eBay, places like that. So in a price war comparison, looking at what you have in the Pixel 6, looking at what you have with the S22 coming out soon, and then also the S21 that's available, it makes it hard to recommend the S21 FE in that regard. But if you can get a good deal, I know Samsung is giving away like a free pair of earbuds. They give you like $100-something worth of credit. I got mine at Best Buy and they gave me a $100 gift card. And Amazon, I believe, is doing the same thing. So it kind of effectively makes it about the same price. And then you can use it to get something else. Use the gift card, get your case, screen protector, earbuds, whatever you want. I kind of recommended that outside of Samsung because Samsung's is fixed. You either get what they offer you or you're stuck. You don't really get a lot of options. Whereas Best Buy and Amazon, if you buy it, you can use that gift card for whatever you want. So Snapdragon 888, 6 gigs of RAM, 128 gigabytes of storage. Another feature with the S21 FE a lot of people like is DeX. You can still use DeX with the S21 FE, which is your desktop experience with the phone where you can use that wire to wirelessly. The Pixel 6 has nothing really like that. The Samsung phones, especially the S21 series, are very notable in fact that it does have DeX. So if you like DeX support on previous devices, this right here is going to be a go-to in that department. It's still got a 6.4-inch screen, which is the same as the Pixel. So 6.4-inch, 6.4-inch. Very handy, very capable. And this one it's brighter, it's got higher contrast, it's got higher nits brightness. It's just an overall better looking screen. And then you get the 120 hertz refresh rate instead of the 90 hertz refresh rate, and it seems better. Like there have been people that have complained about throttling down, missing frames, choppiness when it comes to the refresh rate, especially with some apps like Twitter. I feel like that stuff's going to get optimized and more smooth over time, but the overall refresh rate I think is better. I think One UI 4 feels more polished than Android 12 that you get on the Pixel 6, which is surprising. It's crazy because Google used to be the gold standard for software updates and support. Now Samsung has caught up, and it really is funny. We used to really ding Samsung, and now they've come out of left field and seem to be better off. Hopefully Google can turn that ship around, but the last 2 months really have not been kind to Google and the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro. So 6.4-inch screen, stereo speakers, wireless charging, reverse wireless charging for the power share. Both phones do that. IP68. You're covered all the way around. Again, I really do hate that they took out the SD card, but when you look at all the other phones, it's basically, that's the latest dodo that's died off this year. First it was the IR blaster, then it was the headphone jack, then it was the power brick. Now we've got no SD card. So that's kind of the way things have been. Pixel's been like that for a while. Samsung, at least for some of their lower tier phones, held on to it for a while. Neither one of them have it. Build quality, you've got Gorilla Glass Victus on the front, you've got the Glassic on the back. It does feel nice. It has a nice premium feel to it. It's also got this matte kind of texture to it. Some people like it, some people don't, but the real benefit there, it doesn't pick up and show fingerprints basically at all. So that's nice. Whereas with the glass back on the Pixel 6, you can't really tell with the colors, but if you hit it at the right angle and you look and you can see where it picks up the residue and the fingerprints. But overall, both are solid phones. I like both of them a lot. And again, like I lean kind of heavily towards the Pixel 6. I really like what Google did this year. The S21 FE is not impressive in that regard. It's basically just a slightly lighter version spec-wise in some areas than the S21. And then you still got the hefty $699 price tag, which of course is value price. You look at a lot of flagships and what you get at flagship performance, you're going to pay $799, $899, $1,000, $1,099, whatever. These two guys right here offer a supreme amount of value and performance, $599 and $699. So we've covered most of that stuff. Oh, battery life. So the S21 FE has a 4,500 milliamp battery, 46 over here again. You should get all-day battery life out of both. The thing is, I haven't had this one long enough to let the battery fully optimize and see exactly what I'm going to get. I don't want to say the Pixel 6 is going to be better, but my history with the Snapdragon 888 is it's not as good with battery life. So, but then you have people like MKBHD saying you get 3 hours of battery life with the Pixel. I get 6 to 7. I'm fairly confident I'm going to get probably 5 or 6 out of this. So both of them, lots of horsepower, lots of performance, great for doing just about anything. When you talk about a flagship level phone, they come to play. You get power, you get performance, sophistication, build quality, and they're both great. So let's go ahead and talk about the cameras now. I want to show off some of these samples. I took a few samples, went outside, took some pictures of my car, my family, indoors, got the zoom photo. Of course, you only get 7 times zoom with the Pixel 6, whereas you get up to 30 with the S21 FE, and it really shows off. When you want to take a picture of something far and away, the S21 FE is going to be it all day long. It has an actual telephoto, whereas the Pixel 6 does not. So it's all digital. As you zoom in, it gets more pixelated, you lose quality, you lose sharpness. You get to reach out a whole lot farther, you get the optical lens, and then you get the further digital zoom up to 30 times. So really impressive there. One thing that surprised me is the selfie camera on the Pixel versus the S21 FE. Even though it's only 8 megapixels, you would think the 32 megapixel selfie camera on the S21 FE would beat it out. In some ways it does, but as a straight up shooter, I was impressed with the natural colors and the detail, and it really handles the light better. It doesn't get blown out as easily on the selfie camera on the Pixel, so that's a win I think for the Pixel, but the S21 FE very capable as well. Primary camera, that's a winner for the Pixel 6. I was way more impressed with it, especially when it comes to night shot mode, when it comes to regular photography, when it comes to portrait shots. But again, the wide angle and the telephoto, those are a win in the S21 FE department. So it depends on what you're going for. If you like to be able to reach out and touch stuff, then yes, the S21 FE is going to be the best one for you. And then the Pixel 6, if you're really into primary photography, normal shots, that's something, it takes some really impressive photos. Of course, the offset distance is farther, and I've covered this in other videos before. It has a difficult time with giving whole image focus very up close, or even marginally up close. You have to step back and then kind of zoom in a little bit and crop the photo that way. But with the S21 FE, you don't have that problem. You can get a lot closer and a lot more detail up close and more focus on the overall objects. But if you want overall better quality photos, it's definitely going to come out of the Pixel for the primary shooter. Additionally, in camera features with the S21 FE, the front-facing selfie camera is better for video. You get 4K 60 on the front-facing selfie camera. On the Pixel 6, you get 1080p at 30 frames per second, but both primary cameras are capable on both phones on the back end for 4K 60 as well. So that's about it. When it comes to my comparison between these two, they're both good phones. I'm not a big fan of the price tag of the S21 FE, but of course, I've had people all week long telling me I got it for this price, I got it for that price. That's because Samsung is really aggressive with their sales, their trade-in stuff, and giving you the kitchen sink when you buy things. And you can almost bet that as soon as the S22 comes out, you're probably gonna have a price drop here. You're gonna have more aggressive trade-in stuff because they really want to sell this. So they'll probably take the S21 off their web page as the S22 comes out and leave this, and then make it seem like it's a deal. A couple months from now, it could be an amazing deal. But right now, I feel like the Pixel 6, with the few shortcomings that it has, is an overall better phone. I wish the Pixel 6 had the Snapdragon 888 in it instead of the Tensor. The Tensor is not quite there yet. It does have some inconsistencies. It's not as optimized. We've seen the issues that the phone has had the last couple of months, but it should be fixed for the most part moving forward. Frustrating thing again, the fingerprint sensor on here drives me mad. Also, you get facial recognition with the S21 FE. If you like facial recognition, you definitely want the S21 FE as opposed to the Pixel 6. It's just one of those things. I don't know why Google left it out. They even said, like, in the source code, like, it's available, it's there. They could maybe turn it on one day, especially for the Pixel 6 Pro. I feel like that was a big miss, though. And again, the haptic feedback is better. The typing experience, the overall user interface experience, I do enjoy it much more on the Pixel 6. The haptic feedback on the S21 FE is okay. It feels like it's a couple generations old. It's not as sharp, it's not as aggressive, it doesn't really make the experience better. It kind of takes away from it in some ways. So both good phones, both not like complete flagship phones. We call them a value flagship. I at least call them a value flagship. On paper, they look solid. In reality, they both work really well. You get all the power and performance you could possibly want, good sound, good optics. But over here, facial recognition, better fingerprint sensor, better screen and the 120 hertz. And also, I think it's got a better modem in it too. The Pixel 6, Google operating system, Android 12, and then you get the better primary camera. And also, it feels more premium. It feels more like a flagship phone. And the price is really, really attractive. So you've got two good options here that you can choose from. And hopefully this has helped offer some clarity, some insight as far as what both of them do better, what they bring to the table, and what you might be looking at if you're curious about picking one up. And of course, you know, the Pixel 6 is probably going to be on sale, especially once the S22 launches. So you may still can get it cheaper. A couple of weeks after it came out during the holidays, we're talking, they already had a $100, $50 price drop with activation. You could have gotten it for $549 or even $499 in some instances. I think for the dollar to dollar value, I'm a Pixel person, but if you want to pick one of these up, you're not going to feel bad with either one of them. If you pick up an S21 FE, you're going to like it. And I said this when I first saw this phone and picked it up. I could actually use this as a daily driver, and I've got my SIM card in it right now. I could see myself using an S21 FE as a daily driver. It's that good. It's just the whole value proposition and being $100 more when direct comparison with the Pixel 6. They both bring different things to the table, but when you're fighting over dollars and the value king in the value flagship department, I still kind of give a nod to the Pixel 6. Anyway, that's all I've got in this video. Hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully it gave you some information that you wanted and needed. And if you need to go make a buying decision, maybe you can do that now after watching this. So that's all I've got. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a comment down in the comment section. I'll get back with you. And if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.